This is truly a family-owned and operated business. You may have, well, I met my wife Joni up at gift shop. She makes all of this happen. I simply try to promote and just put things in perspective, believe me. And so for both Joni and I, we welcome you and thank you for choosing Riptide Ride. We really do appreciate your business. We're grateful for you. And when we first start, Don, you're going to hear something about safety. This is a Coast Guard certified vessel. Last time you got to go through some of that standard safety protocol, like where to find life jackets, the drawing of life jackets, that sort of thing. You'll hear about that in a brief narration when we first depart. We'll then get the boat up a plane, and when we're moving fast enough, we're going to tell you guys the way of how to speak, and then we're going to do a spin. I'm also going to give you the direction to spin. At that point, you have an important task. It's quite simple. You need to hold on, okay? So you guys hold on. We do a spin. We come to the stop. I'll get to that. We get to the stop. Then I'm looking for some thumbs up. Now, thumbs up is just a good visual aid to let me know everything's good with you guys, which is always the case. It's just oftentimes, you know, people are coming out of their shell at that point, making some pretty fun noises. Don't sweat it. I'm not going to judge, guys. Have a good time, right? But when you're done with whatever noise you're making, give me a thumbs up. Let me know it's good, all right? Then we're off to the island. Now, as I said, this is a Coast Guard certified vessel. Part of that certification requires you to remain seated and seatbelted in throughout the entire trip. I did spend some time making sure everybody's seatbelt was nice and secure, so I just simply ask you not to fiddle with those at this point. Now, if you do need my attention, best way to get it, big thumbs down. Give me some eye contact as well, just to make sure I see you. With that, I'll drop the boat down off the plane, get into a safe location, come forward, find out what your needs are. Let's just make sure it warrants us going through that exercise. And then finally, and oftentimes people get a little confused, you are not on a roller coaster ride, okay? And I'm all about having a good time. It's not that at all. We are dealing with a couple of unknown factors over here. One is Lake Superior, and then there's me. And so, you know, I'd rather you have your hands on the ready to grab that bar in front of you as opposed to have it up in the air. And since that's a safety issue, I take that quite seriously. That's all I've got, guys. I do have to complete my log, cast the lines. Well, I better start the end first. And then we'll be underway. Thanks, everyone.
Fun. Our vessel, named Rogue Wave, is 40 feet long and boasts 1,600 horsepower with jet drives. In case of emergency, there are life jackets located at the front and rear of the captain's area. There is also a ring life buoy located in the captain's area for emergency use. The instructions for securing life jackets are located at the front of the vessel. If anyone has any questions on how to secure a life jacket, please contact the captain for assistance. All passengers will be required to don life jackets when possible hazardous conditions exist, as directed by the captain. Just a reminder, you must stay seated during our entire trip.
Hey guys, I confirmed with a couple of your colleague passengers that, you know, I forgot to introduce myself. I was sitting there running that through my head while I was up on the bow talking to you guys, and I thought, you know, I didn't do it, did I? My name's Tim, by the way, so not Tim, by the way, it's Tim. Anyway, my name's Tim. You can call me Tim.
East Channel Lighthouse in Grand Island. Grand Island is approximately 8 miles long and 3 miles wide in width at its widest point. The circumference of the island is about 35 miles and covers 13,500 acres. It is the largest island on the southern shore of Lake Superior. It provides much-needed shelter from Munising Bay. The island boasts beautiful cliffs, forests, and a vast history. The highest cliffs are found on the northwest side. It is home to 2 lighthouses.
Point them all together and continue making our way around the island. Now, we've got a lot of beautiful sights to see, possibly some islands to check out along the way, so in the meantime, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the amazing views. cliffs in this area, they get covered in ice, and it forms some beautiful ice caves. And there's even been a commemorative stamp that was published by the U.S. Postal Service recognizing the ice caves in Grand Island. They are quite beautiful. And again, that happens right in this area. Now, the ice formations, they don't just start or end here. They continue around the island as well as on the mainland. And so you'll see all kinds of them if you come here in the winter months. I think it's worthy of a trip here in the winter to take a look at the different ice formations that happen. Now, if you're not sure of the ice conditions that you're walking on, this is considered the East Channel right here. And you can get undercut with currents. Now, there are some guide services that'll take people out to the different ice formations, and that might be something you want to consider doing. Now, in the month of February, we have Ice Fest that takes place, and that's where we get ice climbers from all around the world that converge at the Munising area and test their skills of ice climbing. And so if you've got a notion to climb a frozen waterfall, that'd be a good time to come to Munising. It's in the month of February. There's outfitters that'll bring inexperienced climbers as well as those that have a lot of experience, so it's something you might want to check into. Nothing else, just take a look online. You'll see a lot of beautiful pictures of the different ice formations as well as some of the climbing that takes place in the area. May have noticed a waterfall or two in advance of getting into this location in Trout Bay, and we'll see plenty more as we continue to make our way around the island. Now, the size of these waterfalls, as well as how many we see, is largely dependent upon what kind of rainfall we're getting and certainly the time of year. And with Munising getting so much snow in the winter months, when all of that ice and snow begin to melt in the spring, it makes for some beautiful waterfalls. And we'll get pretty close to some of them as we make our way around the island, and I hope to get a nice hiking, backpacking, snowmobiling, bicycling. You get the idea. The list goes on and on. And the cliffs in this area, they're about mid-size in terms of height. They do get progressively taller as we continue to make our way around the island. So between here and the North Light, we'll see cliffs that are taller than these, and at the North Light, we'll see some taller cliffs yet. But it's on the northwest and west side of the island. That's where we're going to find the tallest cliffs. And what I mean, this national park is named Pictured Rocks, and yet it's important to keep in mind that that term has actually been around for, well, literally centuries in advance of the park even having been formed. Now, some believe it was the French explorer Pierre Radisson who came into the area back in the 1600s and coined the term Pictured Rocks, when he's trying to describe these very cliffs on the island as well as those found on the mainland. Now, you fast forward better than 300 years to 1966, and that's when the national park was formed. Now, they chose the name Pictured Rocks because there's so many cliffs within the national park. Makes sense? And yet, it's equally important to keep in mind that there's nearly twice as many cliffs surrounding this island as there is within all of the national park. Just that we move right along as we look at them. So we got a lot of cliffs yet to see, guys. That's basically what I'm trying to tell you. And much taller ones than these. Now, we basically just started our trip around the island, guys. Now, with so much yet to see, I'm hopeful that we'll spot an eagle before we get back to the dock. nest for the first time 2 days ago. And the parents drop off food to the nest periodically, and the eagle will head back to the nest. It's not leaving far from home yet. And actually, I see both adult birds. They're off to our right here. You see that one that I pointed out initially, but there's another one in that the biggest pine tree you see off to your right, just to the right side of the main trunk of that one as well. So we're on the lookout for young eagles now. Young eagles don't develop that white head and tail feathers until they're about 4 or 5 years old, even though they're basically full grown when they leave the nest. Now when this couple that we're looking at built that nest 14 years ago, they had that stark white head and tail feathers already developed. And so that tells us they had to have been at least 4 years old. They could have been older. And so that makes these two birds at least 18 years old. Again, they could be older than that. Now with eagles living to be about 25 years old in the wild, they're actually getting up there in years. So you can obviously see this one that's directly in front of us. The other one's off to our left. He's close to the top back there. That tallest of pine trees you see over there. And I'll back up, you'll see it better. At least that's my hope, you'll see it better. It's to the right of the main trunk. I can't see because my canopy's nowhere. It's probably about 10 feet from the very top. You can see it there.
It's perched right directly on you. See it?
There's the young eagle right there. So now you see the whole family. See that one? Just landing that tree off to the left. It's directly in front of us right now. So that's what a young eagle looks like, or an adolescent eagle. Looks like an eagle, just a brown one, right? Now you can see the feathers on this one right to our left are kind of disheveled. It's been in the water recently, fishing. Just kind of between yesterday, we saw one of the eagles drop a little care package on the young eagle in the nest and caught a fish. And most people think that the fish that eagles catch are, like the size of your arm, but more often than not, they're about the size of your hand. We're going to continue on our way here, guys. You guys can also be able to appreciate really how high above the water the lighthouse is. These fancy cliffs as you see. especially when you consider the fact that it was built in 1867, making it the oldest lighthouse in the area. Although that's a bit of a technicality, given the fact that the first lighthouse we looked at, the East Channel Light, was built the same year. It's just that this one's a little bit older. Now off to the right of the lighthouse, you see that white pole-looking thing sticking up through the trees. That is the active navigational beacon. And the nav beacon produces a single flash of white light every 6 seconds at night. And so if you're a mariner operating a boat on Lake Superior and you should see that light, well, you know exactly where you're at. So I'm pretty sure you guys figured it out by now. The lighthouse itself, well, it no longer works. And that's been the case for quite some time. It was actually back in the 1950s when the U.S. Coast Guard abandoned this lighthouse. And then they sold it off to the Graham family in the early 70s. Now the Grahams had to fix the lighthouse up just because it had fallen into such poor condition. And they've been maintaining it ever since, which is not easy given its location. So I tip my hat to the Grahams in their efforts of preserving this piece of history. Now the ground that lighthouse sits on, it's still owned by the U.S. government, but it is leased back to the Graham, so technically that's all private property up on top of that cliff. So when I said this is the best location to view the lighthouse from, well, that's true, unless of course you're personal friends with the Grahams, they invite you on up to have a little closer look. showing up on Cedar Falls. And this is oftentimes a pretty darn popular location for local boaters. Now, we had a lot of south wind earlier today. That wind is changing. It's starting to come out of the north a little bit here. So it's starting to cool off. But when you get a south wind, it gets kind of lumpy in the area, wavy. And it keeps a lot of local boaters out of here just because you can't anchor in. Selfishly, I kind of like the south wind just because it leaves the waterfall to, well, me and you guys. I'm going to get in really close to the waterfall. No, I'm not going to put you in, but we are going to get very close. Close enough that some of you guys might even feel a sprinkler too. So here we go, guys. Must be seeing something up water. Leave it right now. All young have left the nest. Young are the gray ones, of course. Earlier this year, I showed passengers some little gray fuzzy birds. Well, they're all grown up now. The island to our left, that's Williams Island. Now, all three islands are privately owned, undeveloped for the most part. There's a small log cottage on the south shore of Williams, old structures. I don't know if they're standing anymore on trade. A long time since I've been there. But they are quite pristine. They're beautiful islands. During the narration at the East Channel Lighthouse, it's pretty good size at 13,500 acres. Now, if you're anything like me, that's just a big number. And it's a little difficult to conceptualize really how big that is. So I'm going to make a comparison to another island that a lot of people make their way to if you come to the Munising area. And of course, the island I'm referring to is Mackinac. And you can just about fit, not quite, just about fit 6 Mackinac islands within the area that occupies Grand Island. It's a big island, guys. Now, by contrast, there's not a single food shop, store, restaurant, or hotel that you found on this island. So, you know, if you make your way on over to Grand Island, personally, I think it's a great island to hang out on. But you have to pack accordingly. You know, the whole food, water, shelter thing, that's on your shoulders. Now, all the while I was growing up here, this island was owned by Cleveland Cliffs Iron Company. And about 12, my great-great-grandparents growing up here, it was owned by Cleveland Cliffs. And so they owned it for quite some time. Now, William Mather, he actually ran the company for better than 50 years. His father was one of the founding members of Cleveland Cliffs Iron Company, first investors. And so at any rate, William, he took a life to the island. He did a lot of infrastructure on it, building bridges, roads that are still big use today. He turned the island into a wildlife refuge, and it's probably not what you think. He used it for hunting. And so he imported exotic animals on the island. He had a stockade fence that split the island in half. And he built a lodge, a hunting lodge, which you can see on our left. That's Mather Lodge. And today, Mather Lodge is the Heritage Center of the U.S. Forest Service. Now, keep in mind, guys, that when William Mather did all of this, it was some time back. It was back in the late 1800s. This is a long time ago. If you do any research on his page, it's certainly questionable as to how he was acquired beside the Native Americans. That's a whole different story. Water in Lake Superior to fill all of the other Great Lakes, plus the additional 8 years it's a lot of water. It's also said that Lake Superior holds approximately 10% of the world's surface fresh water. Again, a lot of water out here. Now, the deepest part of Lake Superior really is not that far. It's about 40 miles to the northeast. Water depths out there exceed 1,300 feet. There's a couple of drop-offs to the air towards the east of the up. Those others can pass over. You can see those home tops to our left. Those are some of those homes I was talking about. So coming up on one of those drop-offs, and we're at 44 feet of water now, and now we're on 112 feet of water. This is that green building coming up on our right. That's the Grand Island Ferry Service ticket office. That's where you go ahead and purchase tickets to the ride tubes on the island. The ferry is large onto go. You can see more of the dock off to our right. It's a bigger one off kind of white. It's a kitchen gas. We're coming up to the second drop-off. Okay, so we're currently at 127 feet of water, and now we're on 205 feet of water. That's great. Now, good rush of the phase over 200 feet.
you. You're awesome.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Thank you.